Ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, you are going to hear opinions. And while the podcast is endorsed by Uriah Heep, the opinions of the host and various guests do not necessarily represent the opinions of the band or any of the members past or present. With that being said, let's celebrate the music of Uriah Heep. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, and I am here with a fantastic song for you guys today. We've got two versions of a song called Wise Man off the Firefly album. Now, the second version is a previously unreleased track to an advertisement. I don't know what the advertisement was. I wasn't able to find out anything about that. However, it is from an advertisement. So it's the same track, but it's got a different mix and it really gives it a different feel. So I'm going to play you a little bit of that after we get through the main song. But I say let's get right to it today, guys. Here is Wise Man from Firefly. I could be mistaken, but I think that we are 3 for 3 on songs that open up with some kind of humming or vocalizing. Very interesting. It's not something that we'd really heard from Heep before, but I don't know. That's interesting. The first 3 songs on the album start out with that, so that's pretty rare. I do really like what the keyboards are doing. It's just very gentle, very beautiful. It certainly creates a warm, sort of calm state. And the vocalizing is actually really nice over it. I can't tell if that's bass playing along or if that's just coming from the organ, but in any case, it's a lovely warm-up to the song.
I sat before the wise man in the autumn of my youth, and I told him all the things I had to know. He said, you have the future if you need to find the truth, and in his eyes I saw that it was so.
Well, story-wise, so far, it seems very similar to The Wizard from Demons and Wizards, but it has a really kind of different feel to it. It doesn't feel like you've climbed a snowy mountain to meet with this wise man, but it definitely is. I love the way that he is delivering the vocals. I mean, there's so much emotion, so much pitching, and it just sounds fantastic to me. And we're going to kick it up a little bit. I mean, drums are about to enter and things, but so far up to this point, I think it just really paints a very powerful picture. It really just kind of grips my wrist and says, you're coming along for a story, pal.
So I came right out and asked him the meaning of life, and as he smiled I saw a twinkle in his eye. He said with all his years there's still so much he has to learn, and once again I saw that it was so.
Wow, I just love this song. There is so much power in this delivery. And I would have to say that if there was a time, and I'm sure that this was going on as people were learning about John Lawton and learning about the Firefly album about to be released and whatever, I'm sure there was a lot of skepticism because David Byron was such a favorite singer of people. And it's always hard to step into someone's shoes who's had such a famous role. But I will say that this is something that should have said to people, you know what, you don't have to worry because you've got somebody who can really deliver some powerful emotion, some strong feelings here, can really make you feel something in the process of it. I mean, the delivery is just spectacular. It's not what David Byron would have done. It's what John Lawton would have done and did it brilliantly. Well, let's talk about the music a bit because there's a lot going on. We've got some very gentle yet powerful drums being played, very nice beat, not needing to be very adventurous. You know, sometimes as a drummer, when you're doing a ballad especially, you really need to lay back a little bit and really just kind of come forward when it's time to change sections. You know, if you're going into a pre-chorus or a chorus or something like that, it's good to come out and do, you know, a drum roll that's sort of you know, has a lot to it, but it's not busy. You know, it might start a little bit earlier than normal or something because you're building up from, you know, something into a more epic part. But there's some great bass work going on here. In fact, I think this is probably his most active song on the album so far. He's been pretty much sticking to the route up to this point, but here it's sounding great. And then in the background, I believe I'm hearing some guitar in the left ear, and it's got a really heavy flange or phaser on it. And it just really kind of fills up the background quite a bit, whatever that is. But I'm pretty sure it's guitar. And yeah, the music is really supportive of the vocals. And the vocals really need the music to be a little bit more laid back so that they can really just kind of shine and go up and down the scale where they need to bring out that powerful emotion. So in a song like this, you're going to want your musicians to back off a little bit, give your vocalist a little bit more free range to do what they want, and then come in at those certain parts where they need to and shine. But the amazing thing is this band always finds a way to make the bass happen, and it's a really good song for bass too. You know, it could have just been the wah pedal I was hearing and thinking it was a flange because it was buried a little bit in the mix, or maybe a little bit of a combination of both. But in any case, the guitars are coming up front a little more in this section, which I like. I like what Mick is playing, and I think it really sounds good and adds to the song. It's a really nice build. There's a lot of heavy keyboard pad in there, and then the bass are probably the most predominant things. When the drums drop down to the toms, they lose a little bit of that volume. Because you don't have that, you know, that crack of the snare or the punch of the kick that drive it forward as heavy as you did before. But it's really nice playing on the tom. It's very gentle. I like that style for sections. But yeah, great vocal. A little bit long of a section that might have been narrowed down a little bit, but overall, it's a great build. You really feel it's heading towards something. It's not like it's just repeating. It's adding as we go, and that makes it more interesting. You know, for a song that started out so simply and beautifully, it really built to something and then just ended easily as beautifully as it started. I really like the way that came together. I love the passion in the vocals. I love the strength in the instruments. I love the fact that the song doesn't sound like it's lacking anything. It sounds very rich and full, but yet gave the open room for the vocals to come through and do whatever they felt they needed to do to bring that emotion out. Spectacular writing, great performances. I absolutely love this song. We'll listen to it many, many times, I'm sure, in the coming rest of my life. Now, we do have, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we do have a second version. This is the same song, but it's an alternative mix. It becomes very apparent. There's a slight difference in the beginning, but it becomes very apparent the difference in the sound, and it's massively on the vocals. So I'm going to play you guys just a little section of that so you can get a taste of it. It is available on the deluxe CD. Apparently, there's two different deluxe CDs that came out, one where Wise Man was song 12 and one where it is song 16. The latter is the one I have. It is sitting in slot 16 on the CD. And here is a little taste of that.
1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm.
So here we've got Lee keeping the count on the hi-hat through this section. And it could be that in the final version that was there and they just muted that section of the track. That's very possible. We didn't have metronomes in the studio in those days, which is really weird because Beethoven actually paved the way for the metronome. But, you know, rock bands at least weren't using them. And so you had to have somebody keeping the time since there was just that long open passage of keyboards. So, but what's interesting is it's not just like him hitting it at a consistent pace. He's hitting a little lighter, he's hitting a little harder, and it sounds like he's changing the weight of his foot on the pedal as well, because there's some that just sound a little more open and some that sound a little tighter. Add to that the variation in the velocity of the stick hit gives you some good variety in that, and not just hearing the same sound as if it's just like a keyboard key being pressed for a drum patch. But yeah, it sounds good. You can hear some more reverb on the vocals than you heard in the album version. And again, if this was designed for advertising, it's got a different market. It's going to be played on television versus radio. Might have also been played on radio, but more likely I would imagine that the ad campaign was done for television. So that being the case, you've got different speakers to contend with. You've got a completely different size of the box that you're delivering that through. So it has to be mixed differently. And so here's just a little bit of the verse section. You can hear the difference in how much reverb there is on the vocal.
He said you have the future if you need to find the truth. And in his eyes I saw that it was so.
So it sounds like a lot of reverb, but it's really not. The decay is fairly short on it. It's just bigger in the attack side of things. but it definitely adds a different feeling, a different dimension. It adds almost, to me, a feeling of desperation for some reason. And I don't necessarily get that from the lyrics. I just get that from all that additional reverb. It sounds a little more haunting. It sounds like he's searching a little more than he really is in the story, but it sounds good overall, I think. But yeah, very nice reverb. But anyway, that's the difference basically between the advertisement mix and the album version. But a great song, very powerful, amazing vocal, fantastic backing by the musicians. Just a great song that I will happily listen to many times and many times over. And that's it, guys. That is it for this song. We have another song coming at you on Thursday. So take care, enjoy, have a great next couple of days, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!